Welcome back to Joy in Our Town. I'm Dr. Patricia McAlipine, and I will be your host for this segment. In this segment, we're going to talk about the issue of education, and our topic is school choice. We have with us Daria Dillard Stone. She is from Parents Advancing Choice in Education. Daria, thank you so much for joining us here today.
It's good to be here.
Yes. Well, let's talk a little bit about what educational choices are currently available.
Many parents are not aware that there is a lot of school choice out there. Just for instance, there's public schools, of course, there's private schools, there's Christian schools, religious schools of any kind, and then there's also virtual schools where the individual, the student, can actually just be not homeschooled, but be in the home and virtually have a school, but through the internet. And so many times parents don't know about all these choices, or they choose a school for the wrong reason. And you have to learn and know your child's learning styles in order to get them in a school that fits their needs. So we have to help them navigate that, because it's out there for a reason, and we don't want them to make the wrong reason, and then their child is not successful. And we see that more than not.
That's very good. I mean, because you talk about, you know, the appropriate educational choices for your child. How would a parent go about even assessing something like that? Because you always think of the traditional, either, you know, public schools, parochial schools. How would a parent go about assessing where the child should be?
And that's a good point, Dr. McAlipine, because years ago, especially in my age group, there were only two choices, public or private. Now that they have so much choice, we had to start programs across the country that would help educate the parent about what's out there so that they could better educate the child. When the parent knows better, they do better. And that trickles down. It's a domino effect. And so now that parents are coming to workshops that we have year-round, and like the workshops we have all over the country, it helps parents know what they don't know if they're not so prideful to let us know they don't know. And sometimes we don't want people to know that we don't know all the answers. With so much choice, they don't know all the answers. As an organization, a lot of the organizations don't know. That's why we help each other. So it's a matter of just raising your hand, say help. And then coming in to see us. All services are free in most organizations like mine, and they're able to help the parent so that the parent can help the child. So many times parents are saying that their child is not getting this, that, or the other because the school didn't do this, the teacher didn't do this, the community didn't do that. But we're finding that we got to get in those homes first, because it is a parent's responsibility, major role, to give that child what they need before they even get to school, so that they can learn better. And then we cannot gauge what one child learns one way that's saying that that will be applicable for the other child. So we have to help them navigate. It's almost like AAA. When you go on a trip, you call AAA and say, how do I get there? And that's what we do. We help them get there.
That's what you do. I like that. What are the basic barriers that prevent parents from ensuring their child is getting a positive education? I know you spoke a little bit about that, but could you elaborate on that a little more?
Basic barriers would be, years ago they could say we didn't have anywhere to go. PTA meetings, PTO meetings, when they were first formed, necessarily did not approach the curriculum or the academic part of the child's learning. That was more like a social organization where parents could help the school raise funds and get particular needs. Well, now the parents and the schools are saying we need our PTA or PTO meetings to actually function in a more concrete way where we can help educate parents about what's really going on in the classroom. So many parents don't know the difference between like the ACT, different scores, different tests, and private schools have a different test a lot of times than public schools. And then there's charter schools. Charter schools in Ohio became a big boom in the last 10 or 11 years. And a lot of times parents really believe that those schools are also charging a tuition. Well, if you don't ask somebody, you don't know. So the main barrier is ask the questions that you don't know. Ask the questions, and every parent's need is different, but every parent's goal is the same. They want the best for their stars. That's what we call them. The students are stars, and they do want the best, whether they're rich or poor, no matter what their ethnic background is, they want the best for their child. But there's different ways to get to the best. And what an A student does in one family, a C student is a great asset in another family, as long as the child is doing their best. But the parent also has to give their best. So that's why we're there, to help them do that.
what is needed to obtain a better education? And it sounds like we're saying educating the parents as well, but what is needed for a better education?
That's a generic, general question because every family has a different need.
Yes.
So I wouldn't dare say what is one thing that is needed. But some of the things that might be needed is the fact that parents do not prepare the child early on to think about education. It's almost like you do what you have to do, I'll do what I have to do. The parent doesn't check and talk to the teachers most often unless there's a crisis. Parents have to become the partners of their educational system. And one of the things you do when you're a partner, you're in it to win it. So you don't wait for something bad to happen. You introduce yourself. You find out what is the teacher needing from you as a parent.
Yes.
How better can you serve them so that they can serve your child?
Yes.
So those are some basic things, but every family has different needs. It's a myriad of things, but those are just some of the generic across the board things that the parent needs to get involved.
And okay, so we have parents out there, and then sometimes we have parents out there that don't know how or don't even want to get involved. Sadly but true. Are there other organizations out there, local organizations, church organizations that can play a role in assisting the child's education?
The community, the church, the family. That's how it's always been for years. Now there are some barriers that have come up over the years where families say that their church doesn't have an educational component. Because of the economic climate as it is, many of our, what I call community-based organizations, youth organizations that were available after school hours to also augment what the school has been teaching in the classroom, they're closed.
Yeah.
So it behooves the parents to get together and they start their own group. They can start a cluster of parents that have homes open where they can say, look, on Wednesdays I'm going to educate and we're going to do flashcards, we're going to do spelling bees, and on Thursdays you can do that. And they can help each other. You know, parents have said we don't have money in our schools for art, for music, for transportation. And I tell them that's a great opportunity for you to become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You do it.
Yes.
Collectively, you can do it. And it's happening.
I like that. It's, you know, I mean, because, you know, it takes a community to raise a child.
It really does.
And to say, you know, 3 or 4 children come over my house this evening and we're going to do flashcards, or we're going things that are, you know, very inexpensive, and you could just help do that, augment that learning experience.
Exactly.
So, very good.
Exactly.
Very good. Does the economy help or hinder a parent from giving a child a good and positive education?
Okay, I'm the parent.
Okay.
The economy is killing me.
Yes.
You know, I can't afford to feed my kids, let alone send them to school with the basic needs.
Yes. What would you say to that parent?
Good question. I would let them vent, first of all. I'd let them say what they feel is the barrier. And then I would ask them, I said, but you're all they got. The children only have you. So if you don't do it, who can do it? Now, I can't go in and look at their checkbook. I can't go in and look at their finances. But I would ask them to take a closer look. If you stop buying so many boom boxes, so many DVDs and toys, and trying to buy the child things that really are not basic needs, you got to curtail on some of that. You'd be surprised what you can do. Yeah. Your money can go further, but you got to really write down and prioritize. I tell them to run the family like it's a business. And you're the parent, you're the CEO, but those are your employees, and you need to have them doing what they're supposed to do. And what they're supposed to do is get good grades, build good character, but they can't do that. They have to see you doing the same thing. Yes. So it's a matter of the teacher teaching the students, and the teacher is the parent.
But don't you feel as well, though, that you can be, no one is hindered by their economic status, because there's always the time that you can invest. You get the schools from the books. I mean, you get the books from the schools. So what can a parent do if they have no money at all? Isn't it just spend the time with the student, helping them?
That's easier said than done, Dr. McAlipine. So many of our parents are working 2 and 3 jobs.
Yes.
And a lot of times people think that parents are negligent because their child is not getting what the basic needs from home.
Yes.
But I've learned in the 11 years that I've seen this across the country that it is just hard for, especially a one-parent home, whether it's the mother or the father, to take care of 3 or 4 kids, let alone 1, yes, but 3 or 4, and checking the homework, combing the hair, fixing the lunch, going to the conferences. They are overwhelmed. Yes. So they need somebody to actually hold their hands. They have to do it. You know, it's their job to do it, but at the same time, do they know how to do it? You're juggling. You're juggling now. And so the children play a major role as well by doing the best they can, by keeping their grades up. I tell students that, you know, do you realize that an aide to a college recruit could be worth $20,000 to $15,000? We start working with children, talking to them about college in the 7th grade. In the 7th grade.
Yes.
Personally, I started my children in 1st and 2nd.
Yes.
Every gold star they made, because they wasn't getting letter grades, girl, you're on your way to college.
Yes.
So my girls grew up saying, we never knew anything but college.
Exactly.
I didn't go, but I knew what I wanted for them. I didn't go till I got grown. It was in '84 when I went to college. And I love it because one of your guests said earlier that you never get too old to learn. Yes. And it's most rewarding thing to do, to see parents, once their children start doing better. We have seen parents go back and get their GED, finish their bachelor's that they started maybe 15 years ago. Yes. And I got 2 parents that actually have gotten their doctor's degrees.
And because they're encouraged by their children, but their children are also encouraged by them as well. I've got to get to this. Why is reading so crucial in educating a child?
If they can't read, they can't comprehend anything. Yes. And what we're finding, because parents are working 2 or 3 jobs, they don't sit down and read to the students. They don't make reading fun. You got to make it fun. Kids, and even grown-ups, if you read a book and you pick it up and it's not invigorating, it's kind of a challenge. So we have to tell parents, you read. When they see you reading, they'll do it. Yes. It's one thing to tell a child to do something. It's another thing to show the child how to do it. Yes. And I'm a reader, and I used to have competition with my kids to see who read the most books. So if the library's not doing it, your school's not doing it, because years ago we had competition and contests at the library. Then what's wrong with you doing it? Within you got 2 kids, then see how many books they can read over the summer. It stimulates them. See how many books they can read over a vacation break for like holidays. But reading is so crucial. We're finding the basic problem starts with reading, because if they're not reading, they can't understand math. Yes. They can't comprehend science. They've got to read.
This is so good, but I've got to go back to helping and holding the hands of parents, and how do parents get the education? Like you say, there's time constraints, you know, they're your single parent families. How do parents learn and get the education of how to teach and help their children? I know this is crucial, so we've got about a minute to go, and I really want to get this out there.
One of the things, there's many ways, because as I said previously, all parents have different needs, but their goal is to get the best for their child. We have parent workshops. All the organizations, parent organizations, have free workshops dealing with various things, such as how to fill out a FAFSA, how to save. What do you do when you have bullying? How do you teach a child that teachers have said are unteachable or they're disruptive in the classroom? We have classes that tell them and show them what to do, and we give them handouts to take with them, and then we have a phone number or a website they can go to with particular questions.
Your organization is we have 15 seconds to go. What is your organization?
Parents Advancing Choice in Education, P.A.C.E.
Look it up. You can use it. It's going to be great for your kids. Thank you for joining us at Joy in Our Town.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and made possible by your telethon dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town brought to your home every day. So write Joy in Our Town, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.